couple weeks ago, we had a passing in the musical fraternity, Arif Cooper. I know you've done work with him. You mentioned him earlier on when we're speaking to. Is there any one memory that sticks out in particular about Arif Cooper that you'll never forget, that you cherish that moment with Arif?
Boy, there's a lot of moments with Arif. I don't know if I could think of any one specific moment with Arif, to be very honest with you. Mm-hmm. I think what is fair to say is that, Arif came from a world where his father was a founding member of Third World, Ibo Cooper. So he came raised in a world where his father is one of the foundation members of establishing reggae music, not dancehall music, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And Arif managed to translate that from that world and bring himself into this modern dancehall world and be able to make a mark as a selector, as a radio show host, as a music producer, and was able to bridge a gap, I think, in his thinking generationally, right? From the two styles of music. I think everybody sort of realized that it is possible to see a connection between coming from where reggae was coming from and leading into the dancehall. When you had people like Arif who are in that position to have been grown in one and steeped in one, and then also contribute tremendously to the other part of the genre. I think, and Arif also had a love for hip hop music as well, and he had a really good record collection when I first met him, and he was really into hip hop and he appreciated a lot of part of the culture. Mm-hmm. I think Arif found himself in a place where it is difficult. He was a very intuitive musician and producer, and a very bright individual, and not cut from the cloth of the sort of more standard fare dancehall or radio disc jockey. And I think he may have found himself to be in a sort of uncomfortable position where he didn't want to act like he was professing to know more than most, but he did. Mm. You understand what I'm saying? But he really did. And so I think Arif, in many respects, kind of got the short end of the stick in terms of that, and not really getting a lot of recognition from the fact that here was a guy that was really above average when it came to DJing and music production and being an actual musician. Arif's a musician, play keyboard, understand music theory, a proper, you know what I'm saying? Not as a guy spinning records, and that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And I think he may have suffered from the fact that there is so little outlet or appreciation for people like him, that was blessed to have the ability to transcend both parts of the industry, being a real musician with a famous father, growing up amongst guys that did actual reggae, but being at the forefront of dancehall as well. And the amount of careers Arif was involved with, Cartel's career and Sean Paul's career. He DJ with Sean on the road. He was amongst us all the time. The same stories I tell you about the studio and us playing the video games and stuff. Arif was right there too with us, you know what I'm saying? And Syndicate fraternity and the sound system. So I think he was very underappreciated. I remember being somewhere once and it was a guy that was in the media and was having a conversation, and he started to say this thing about dancehall producers aren't real musicians. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, man, dancehall producers are not real musicians, bro. Those guys that know to program drum machines, and they're not real musicians. Name me who is a real musician in dancehall. The first name came to my head was Arif. Mm-hmm. I said to him, Arif Cooper. He's like, what do you mean? That's what you mean. What I mean, Arif Cooper. What do you mean, real musician? I'm like, yes, bro. Musicians don't play keyboards, understand key, music theory, can play two hands, proper musician. Better musician than I ever was. You know what I'm saying? I think there's an underappreciation for somebody like Arif and the talents which he really had, which he brought to the game and to the genre. Gone way too young. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, and leaving behind kids, and it was a very sad scene overall. And also perhaps a comment to the kind of the grind and hustle that somebody like Arif was trying to put in to stay in music and to stay relevant and to be out there DJing and driving up and down at nighttime and playing parties and still hammering it out and trying to produce and trying to do that type of stuff and the breakneck pace of which, you know what I mean, you can get involved with this industry. And as we age and get older and we're not paying attention to our health and the toll that it takes on you, bro, physically, emotionally, mentally, the toll. Sometimes a lot of people have to disengage from this industry. You know what I'm saying? And take a step back. And because it's a harrowing experience. You know what I'm saying? To try and keep it there. And unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, it just got the better Arif in the long run. He's sadly missed. And as a fraternity, we miss him. And more importantly, as that same fraternity of us, as that uptown movement then, as we spoke about earlier. I mean, Arif is an integral part of that family. And I don't think the wider dancehall world, I don't think can ever really truly appreciate that kind of contribution he made to so many people at that point in time, whether as a producer, as a syndicate disc jockey, as a musician himself in the studio. I mean, you know, affecting what was going on with the people around him and the kind of influence he had. Then later on the radio and playing stuff, you know what I'm saying, and being a radio show disc jockey and a host and what he would bring. So, I mean, rest in peace, Arif, man. It's you know what I'm saying, a very sad scenario, but I think his contribution will never go unnoticed, and for that I'm happy.
This podcast is brought to you by www.twolinedmusica.com.